My name is Megan Camp. I'm the program director at Shelburne Farms. And I had the opportunity to work with Barbara and Liz in organizing this event, trying to find a date that could work for everyone. And then sort of nonchalantly, Barbara said, hey, we're gonna be doing storytelling. Might you wanna tell a story? So of course I said, yes. And then the voice inside my head said, no, you hate storytelling, Megan. You hate public speaking. I said, however, never have I been able to say no to ISC. Is there anyone in this room? George and his formidable team are impossible to say no to. So then I went, after I realized that it was storytelling, I said, okay, this will be like many of the nights that I spent as a consultant with ISC and a partner. I spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe. I spent a lot of time in Russia. And I said, this will be like one of those long marathon nights where everyone in the room will hold up their vodka and we'll tell everybody how much we love each other and clink our glasses. But here I am, no vodka. My hand is empty. I don't even have notes. But I can speak from my heart. So the more I thought about it, the more I said, this is a chance to actually have the opportunity to reflect upon my 25-year relationship with ISC. So I first met ISC when I got a phone call from a woman named Kathleen Gavin. Some of you may remember her. And she said, Megan, we have this group who's coming from Hungary, and they're really interested in community-based environmental education. Do you think you could help us out? And I said, of course. So we ended up having a wonderful, I think this might have been the first delegation that came from ISC. We had a wonderful experience here, and I think I found my match. I found an organization. I, at that time, 25 years younger as ISC, was young. I had a lot of aspiration. I had, as Madeline talked about, a lot of hope for the future. I've got your PowerPoint in my head. And I found an organization that matched my DNA. I had grown up in Washington, D.C. in the 1960s. My parents moved to Washington to be part of the Johnson administration. And my father worked for the Office of Economic Opportunity. And I learned at a very young age that what's possible is really the way to think. It had a profound impact on me growing up in the 60s. I thought every kid, I know a bunch of you grew up here as well in DC in the 60s, I thought everybody spent Sundays going down and marching, and that you grew up with the National Guard on the corner, and then realized after we left DC that that wasn't the way everybody spent their childhood. But what I took away was this sort of passion, of course, to try to spend my life trying to make the world a better place. So I had the chance to work with ISC for, as I mentioned, 25 years. I got to go to Hungary, work in Poland, and work in Bulgaria, spend time in Ukraine, Russia, Japan, and China. And all this time I kept thinking, sort of all of the work that we were doing, I realized was really helping me as an individual and Shelburne Farms as an organization grow. We were asked to speak about an epiphany. And I had one, and it was actually in Cree Linalak. I'm looking at Cree right up here at the front table. One night, Cree has a wonderful tradition of inviting people to her living room to meet and spend time with great sort of thought-provoking speakers and writers. And one evening she had the author of Living Downstream. Is everybody familiar with that seminal piece of work that made the strong connection between environment and cancer? And she spoke about a story where she had been in Africa and was doing her dissertation and had met a tribal chief, and they were talking about the water pollution. And she had asked the chief about the fish. Could you eat them? And he said, no, not right now. And he said, well, what about the fish in your river back home in Illinois? Can you eat that? And she said, no. And he said, well, what are you doing here? You better get back home. So I sat in that living room, I thought about that. And then at that time, I had been spending time and observed the changes that were happening in the post-Soviet system. I had the chance as to be sort of the representative on the ISC consulting team, what we call the fourth E. The fourth E, we all remember, of sustainability. You've got equity, you've got economy, you've got the environment, but we often forget about the fourth E. And thank you, Madeline, for bringing that up tonight, which is education. So none of those things would be possible without education. So as I was watching what was happening and observing some of this amazing transformation with a shift in the education system and really taking Agenda 21 seriously, there were some countries that were doing that, I said, well, why can't we do this back at home? So I got the courage and sort of said, I'm going to take my lessons and be a way of adapting them and inspiring our work in Vermont. And so Vermont, which some of you may not know, is the very first state in the United States to have sustainability. There are many countries, but we're the only state that has sustainability as one of our standards. And the way that was possible was because we embarked on a public participatory process. It was all about a democratic voice, asking that really essential question of what do we really care about? What is it that we want our children to know, be able to do? What kind of world do we live in? And I think we found that Vermont found the wisdom to know that sustainability was a really important path for that. ISE has impacted me not only in our work in the state of Vermont, we have the standards, but we also did something else which was a first, which was inspired by our work with ISE, which is Vermont has the only elementary school that has sustainability as a theme, as a magnet. And that school is right down the street from City Hall on North Street, if people are familiar with North Street in Burlington. And just to give a throwback to Peter, and to watch out for Noel, who's coming next, inspired by our work in Ukraine, we were, as a team working on our community-based programs, we were trying to find a way in which we could give youth a voice to be a really important part of their process. So we helped co-create with our Ukrainian partners a curriculum which was called Healthy Neighborhoods, Healthy Kids. And imagine the kids who were in Burlington, where this work was happening, had to go out into their neighborhoods and they had to assess them. They got to give the report card instead of the report card given to them. They had to go out and say, what does it mean? What's quality of life all about? And let's see how well our community's doing. And this group of fifth graders all of a sudden noticed that they were the only school in Burlington that didn't have a crosswalk. Going back to Madeline and your trains crossing, they were like, this isn't safe. Why do all the other schools have a crosswalk and we don't have one? And this is one of the busiest streets in Burlington. So what they did was they went to Peter Clavel's office. They tried to find out how are these decisions made, who makes these decisions. They knocked on doors, they wrote petitions, they went to city government, and then within a month, Peter was there with a ribbon cutting, being able to have the crosswalk be installed finally into Burlington schools. So my story is really one of gratitude. I don't have vodka tonight. We do have our glasses of cider. I ask if you can lift up your glass. It can be imaginary, like your imaginary PowerPoint. So the night would not be complete without a true toast of appreciation for all of you at ISE who have been on the board, who've been on the staff and the leadership, and to thank you for allowing me in my role here at Shelburne Farms to be inspired to do the most important thing, which is to inspire the next generation of change makers.